Hi all, we're back, and in this video I'm going to talk about using custom content when you're building maps for the Anacrusis. So this is something that was really tricky to try and figure out. I took a lot of trial and error, but I want other people to not have to go through what I went through, and so hopefully try and figure it out. So why would you want to use custom content with the Anacrusis? I guess is a good question. So one thing I found is that this is just me personally. The team who made the game, it's a relatively small team, a small studio. So when they were building their levels, as much as they in future like the idea of having people build custom content, they didn't necessarily build all of the assets with modding in mind. Okay, so there are many wonderful tools in here, or sort of meshes and things like that. So if we go into here, you can see all sorts of really cool bits that make up the levels that you can use in any of your maps you want to. But what I found was some of them, for example, and this one's a really sort of good idea, this depot bridge floor, for example, a lot of the architecture ones, the floors, the walls, the ceilings, were built with a specific level in mind. They were built to order for a specific one of the specific campaigns, one of the maps. Well, what that means is that, for example, the origin of that mesh might be miles away from the mesh itself, because the map required a big circular area, and the origin, it was much easier for the designer to put the origin of that circular area in the center of the map, the room, instead of the center of the actual mesh, which basically makes it really hard to line these things up and to use them for other purposes other than they were originally intended for. And that, once again, it's no criticism of the Stray Bombay team. That's just how modern level design is done. It's just not conducive to modding. That's all. So, but modding, I think, was a secondary consideration though, because they were trying to get the levels out. I'm sure they were working very hard. So some of this stuff is really usable. So things like these door frames and stuff like that are probably really useful. Some of them less so. So I tend to take a mishmash of those, but what I wanted to do was do a map and get us out of the spaceship area, because I was really struggling to use those assets, and get us onto a planet where I can use terrain, which is a lot more forgiving. I can build any shapes I want to, I can build any path I want to, and build all sorts of different environments. And I wanted to do maybe a different campaign on a different planet each time with a different look and feel. So what I wanted to do, I needed to find some new assets. So I wanted to use the Epic store, and I'll say a few words about that. So if we go to the Epic Games library and we go to the Unreal Engine tab, you've got the marketplace. Now the marketplace has lots and lots of things available, some in varying qualities. Basically, what I would say is, if you're looking to build, what you need to do is get some assets which are well made. That's the key to it. They can look however they want to look. You could do a map set in a child's bedroom, for God's sake, where everything's sort of big and very colourful and stuff like that. Whatever, as long as the assets that you get are low poly and are well made, so that the level itself will be small in size in terms of bytes, but also will run well and be efficient. So one of the tips I sort of came up with was Epic Games content. Now, over the years, Epic have released a ton of packs of different models and environments and all sorts of things, and these are really good. I use Soul Cave on my maps, and it came out really well. I really recommend using the Unreal packs if you can. Here's Soul Cave, that's the one that I used. Soul City, there's a whole futuristic city there that would be really cool to make a level out of. And all of these are really well optimized for game design and game building, and you're getting something really good quality that is going to work. So I fully recommend. Look at that looks great. So I fully recommend trying to use these first if you want to use any custom assets. Alternatively, Cinti Studios are really good. The game style may not, the look and feel may not line up exactly, but they're really quality assets. Some of which you might need to pay for if you're feeling like you want to invest a bit more in the project. But yeah, this stuff these Cinti packs are really, really great. And I don't mind advertising for them because I've bought many, many, many of their wonderful packs for game design, and it gives you a really consistent look and feel to the world. Obviously, that may be slightly different from the art style of the game itself, but it still gives you really good quality assets to use. Okay, so that's why you might want to use some custom assets. Getting those custom assets into the game itself is a little more tricky. So it's not possible. Like if we come to if I come to my library, there's a bunch of assets that I've got on here, right? If I want to add to project, say I want to add to, so you download it and then you basically say, right, okay, I want to add it to my Anacrusis project. So it says select the project you want to add to, and you can see that my Anacrusis project isn't there. I've just got these two generic projects. And if I click show all projects, search project, I still can't see the Anacrusis turn up here because it's currently not possible to import these assets directly into the Conchigli editor. You have to go via a version of Unreal Editor and then transfer them. So what I had to do was install a version of the engine of 4.2.7 of just the regular Unreal engine tools. So then you're kind of ending up with the Conchigli editor installed and the 4.27 engine version as well. This is only temporary, but what it means is basically you have to you then add the project to the 4.27 environment, like this one here. You see that's the 4.27 project. Add to that, and then wait for that to install. Once it's added, you can then go into the 4.27 engine and get that up and running, and then you migrate it over out of this into the Conchigli editor, and then you can, if you don't want any more assets, you can just uninstall that 4.27 version. It is a fiddle. It's a pain in the ass, but it's a one-time thing, hopefully, once you've got your assets figured out. And for some reason, 4.27 launches my Steam VR, but anyway. But I can go into my project 2 here, and that's where I previously implemented those packs. And once it's in there, you can see over on the left-hand side, if I open that up in my content browser, here's my assets. So these are the various packs that I downloaded, and then I can just simply grab all 3 of them, right click on them, and then migrate. And I want to migrate everything that's in them, so just leave everything ticked. Okay. And then basically I'm going to go and find my Conchigli implementation. So I'll just move that over. Program files, Epic, and there's my Conchigli editor, Windows, Anacrusis, and then content is the folder you want to bring it into, and then you can just select folder, and that will start the transfer. And then once they're in, you can shut that down once that's done, and then you'll see them appear in the content browser. And as you can see, I've got my alien colony, I've got my low poly alien plants, and then I've got my soul cave there. Those are the 3 packs that I brought in. So that allows me to then have access to those. Okay, and you can start looking through those and look at some of the information. Now, one of the things though is that, remember, what we're shipping from our previous video is this folder here, not what's up here. So in order to make this work, basically you can see I've got similar folders: alien colony, low poly aliens, and soul cave, right, as well as my maps folder. Now in this, I only want to include assets that I'm actually using in my map. Right now, in the projects that I included, they've got, like you can see here, I've used set up a bunch of, I used the foliage tool and dropped like a load of grass down and stuff like that, and some trees. But there's a whole bunch of models and stuff that come with this pack that I'm not using, and I wouldn't want them transferred because it's going to bulk out my import in a big way, and that will be a big download, and they'll be downloading tons of content that they don't need to download. So what I suggest is, before you add something to your map, basically find it here. So say for example we are going to get one of the crates, okay, or something like that. So here's this alien colony. Let's say we got this crate here, this kind of block thing, and we want to do it. Right. What I would do is I would come back down and and just drag and drop it into your alien colony, or you create that folder, or drag it into your mod folder. I'm not sure if it creates a subfolder or not. You might need to create a subfolder manually to drop it into, but that will move the mesh. But then you also need to check out the let's see, we click on this. You might also need to transfer the materials as well that are made up from it here. So this is the material. So you might need to go and find that material and drag it into this area as well. So you can see we've got materials, meshes, textures. But essentially what you're doing is transferring over all the assets for that object before you start using it in your map. And that way you don't need to you won't get to the end of your project and realize that you've used 50 assets and now you have to go back through and find every single one of them and then transfer after the fact. Also, when transferring into your folder here, make sure you drag and drop. Don't copy or migrate, because it's important that you drag and drop, and that will make sure that the pathing is correct. So if we click here and I go into meshes, you can see that path here, it says Grand Day Out Alien Colony Meshes, and if you see the Grand Day Out, that's the mod, you know that is looking at my local directory for my mod, not looking at the game directory further up. If I go to one of these meshes here, you see it says game alien colony meshes, so that wouldn't work if I tried to transport that, because it's not one of the official files for the game. So you always want to make sure that the pathing looks like this. Okay, so that's just a tip, as I say, transfer your assets as you go. So that you can build this out, and so that this will be as small as it needs to be. If anyone has a more efficient suggestion, please let me know, because it's killing me. It really is. Yeah, migrating won't change the pathing either. And then one other thing that's useful to do is, once you transfer stuff over, just right click on your master folder and just fix up redirectors in folder, and that will delete any unnecessary pathing. Basically, just tidies things up for you. So that's kind of how you do it, and then obviously you're just dragging, and then basically once you've transferred it in there, you can then just drag and drop from and you should be dragging and dropping things into your level from your mod folder, not from up here. Anyway, that's just a method that I use. Obviously there may be a different way that someone comes up with which is better, but that's how I ended up doing it. And that's it basically, and once that's done, then I'll talk about shipping, or exporting and shipping, in a minute, and testing as well. Thanks for listening. Cheers.